The beautiful lie, how Hollywood's promise broke Menglong's soul. Fame has a way of dressing pain in glitter. It hides the scars behind a perfect smile, the loneliness behind flashing cameras, and the exhaustion behind a rehearsed laugh. For Menglong, the Chinese actor and singer who captivated millions with his gentle charm and melancholic eyes, fame wasn't just a dream, it was a promise. A promise that the world would love him, that success would fill the emptiness, that applause would silence the doubts whispering in his mind. But behind that promise was a lie, a beautiful, deadly lie that slowly shattered his soul. Menglong's journey began like a fairy tale. With his delicate features, calm voice, and almost poetic presence, he rose to fame during a time when the world was craving sincerity in art. He had the rare ability to make sadness look graceful, to turn pain into poetry. Every role he played seemed to hold a reflection of something deeper inside him, a quiet longing, an unspoken ache. But while audiences saw a rising star with a perfect smile, those closest to him began to notice something else, a man slowly fading behind the mask he built to survive. Hollywood, and the global entertainment world it represents, thrives on perfection. It sells the illusion that beauty, fame, and success equal happiness. But what no one tells you is how expensive that illusion is. It doesn't just take your time or privacy, it takes your identity. It convinces you that your worth exists only in applause, that silence equals failure, that rest equals irrelevance. Menglong, like so many others, became a prisoner of that system. Every performance, every photo, every interview became another layer of armor, a shield against a world that demanded he always be perfect. Perfection, however, is a heavy costume. Beneath it, he carried the quiet torment of a man who could no longer tell where the act ended and where the truth began. He would smile on red carpets, his eyes reflecting the flashes of hundreds of cameras, but those who looked closely could see it, a flicker of exhaustion, a silent scream trapped behind his gaze. His fans adored him, yet the more they loved his image, the more he lost himself to it. The fame that once felt like light soon became a blinding glare. He was told to always be charming, never tired, to stay relevant, to stay beautiful, to stay strong. But behind closed doors, Menglong fought invisible wars, battles no camera could capture. There were nights when he would stare at the ceiling, the silence so loud it pressed against his chest. The pressure to keep performing, to keep smiling, to keep pretending became unbearable. Fame was supposed to heal his insecurities, but it only deepened them. Every compliment became a reminder that he had to keep earning love that didn't feel real. He once confided to a friend, "Sometimes I wonder if people love me, or just the idea of me." That single sentence revealed everything. The idea of Menglong, flawless, composed, endlessly kind, was adored. But the real man, fragile and tired, was invisible. He was constantly expected to be an inspiration, never a human. And in a world where vulnerability is seen as weakness, he learned to hide his pain well. Too well. His breakdown didn't happen overnight. It was quiet, almost invisible, the kind of sadness that seeps in like fog, unnoticed until it drowns you. He stopped writing music. He avoided interviews. His friends said he became quieter, more distant, as if he was slowly retreating from the world. Yet on screen he continued to shine. That's the cruel irony of fame. It demands performance even when your soul is breaking. And Menglong, ever the professional, gave the world his best performance, pretending he was fine. Behind that calm smile was a man who no longer believed in the dream he once chased. Hollywood and the entertainment machine had promised him everything: success, love, immortality through art. But it never warned him about the loneliness of being seen by millions, yet understood by none. Every headline, every online comment, every expectation became another thread in the web that trapped him. The more successful he became, the less free he felt. Fame is a mirror. It reflects what people want to see, not what truly exists. And when Menglong looked into that mirror, he no longer recognized the man staring back. He had become a brand, a symbol of fantasy. The real person, the one who loved quietly, who laughed freely, who sometimes cried for no reason, was gone. In its place stood a polished illusion that the world adored but that he could no longer live up to. In the final months before his death, those close to him noticed the changes more sharply. His social media posts grew rare and vague. His words became more introspective, tinged with melancholy. There were rumors of burnout, of mental exhaustion, of long nights spent alone in silence. But in the entertainment industry, such whispers are often dismissed as artistic moods. After all, sadness looks romantic on screen until it becomes real. The cruelest part of his story is how preventable it could have been. If only the world had looked past his beauty and seen his breaking. If only the industry that praised his authentic emotions had cared for the real emotions behind them. If only someone had told him that it was okay to rest, to be imperfect, to be human. But fame is merciless. It gives you everything and takes even more in return. When the news of Menglong's death broke, the world reacted with shock and disbelief. Fans flooded social media with tributes, old clips, and heartbreakingly poetic farewells. He was too gentle for this world, one wrote. He gave us his light while he lived in shadows, said another. And though the messages poured in by the thousands, one could not help but feel the tragic irony that he finally received the love he longed for, only when he was no longer here to feel it. His death became a mirror for the entire entertainment world, a reflection of how the industry glorifies pain and labels it art. The same system that praised his sensitivity was the one that pushed him past his limits. It celebrated his vulnerability while offering no space for his healing. The truth is, Menglong didn't die because he was weak. He died because he was too human for a world that rewards masks more than honesty. The beautiful lie that Hollywood and fame itself sells is that success heals you, that the spotlight will fill your emptiness. But for Menglong, it did the opposite. It exposed his soul to constant judgment, turned his insecurities into entertainment, and left him with nowhere to hide. His death wasn't just a personal tragedy. It was a symptom of a culture that confuses admiration with love and attention with care. Even now, his story lingers like a haunting melody. When fans watch his old interviews, they notice how his smile trembled, how his eyes darted away when asked about happiness. They replay his songs and realize how his lyrics were quiet cries for help, disguised as poetry. He once sang, "I smile so the world won't see my rain." Looking back, those words feel like a farewell he'd been writing all along. Menglong's legacy is both beautiful and heartbreaking. He showed the world what gentleness looked like in an industry built on perfection. His performances taught us that real emotion can't be faked, and his death reminded us that the people who give the most light often live in the deepest darkness. Fame had become his mirror, his mask, and eventually his prison. The illusion of perfection was no longer a role Menglong played on screen. It had swallowed him whole. Every flash of the camera reminded him that the world loved an image, not the man inside it. The applause grew louder, but the silence afterward felt heavier. Each performance, each interview, each carefully staged smile pushed him further from himself, until he no longer knew who Menglong truly was. In the months leading up to his death, those closest to him described him as drifting. He would sit for hours staring at nothing, his phone buzzing endlessly with calls and messages he never answered. He wasn't ungrateful. He just couldn't keep pretending. The boy who once sang about dreams was now haunted by the sound of his own voice. The fame that was supposed to set him free had become a chain that clinked louder in every heartbeat. He started canceling events, retreating from the endless swirl of red carpets and spotlights. His management called it fatigue, the fans called it mystery, but in truth it was despair. Every appearance felt like performing inside a glass box. Everyone could see him, but no one could reach him. The lights blinded him, the noise drowned him, and the more people adored him, the lonelier he became. Fame wasn't love. It was attention dressed in luxury. He began writing again, not songs for the world, but words for himself. Torn notebook pages filled his desk, scribbled with thoughts he never showed anyone. "I feel like I'm fading," one line read. "Like I'm watching my life happen from a distance." Those who saw him during that time said his eyes held the kind of sadness that couldn't be cured by rest. It wasn't exhaustion of the body, it was exhaustion of the soul. The illusion of Hollywood's promise was cracking, and behind it was a young man who had given everything for approval that never felt enough. He lived inside a world where your smile was currency and your silence was a sin. Every emotion had to be marketable. Every heartbreak had to look beautiful. He couldn't cry without someone calling it art. Couldn't hurt without it becoming a headline. That's the cruelty of fame. It turns even your suffering into performance. There was one particular night, just weeks before his death, that those around him would never forget. He had been filming late, his eyes swollen from exhaustion, his voice hoarse. When the director called cut, he didn't move. He just sat there, staring at the floor, as if he couldn't remember where he was. A crew member later said softly, he looked like a man trying to find himself in a room full of strangers. That night, when he finally went home, he reportedly sat by his window until sunrise, watching the city lights fade into morning. To the world, that same sunrise looked like hope. But for you, Menglong, it was another reminder that the world kept spinning, even when you wanted it to stop. The beauty of fame is deceptive. It gives you everything, yet it leaves you with nothing that feels real. He was surrounded by admirers, agents, contracts, cameras, yet his heart ached for something simple. A moment of peace. A life not scripted, not performed, not observed. He once told a close friend, "Sometimes I wish I could just walk through a crowd and not be seen." That wish said everything. Fame had made him visible, but invisible at the same time. Everyone saw his face, but no one saw his pain. And the more he smiled, the less people believed he was hurting. When he recorded his last video appearance, fans noticed how thin he had become, how his voice trembled between words. He spoke about gratitude, about staying strong, but there was a pause, a long, quiet pause, before his final sentence. "We all need to take care of our hearts," he said, almost whispering. Few realized it was a cry for help disguised as advice. The night before he died, the world was still asking for more. More projects, more appearances, more content. The machine of fame never stops turning. His phone lit up with messages, scripts, offers, interviews, but he didn't reply. Instead, he reportedly wrote a note. Not a farewell letter, not a confession, but something simpler. A truth. The world loves beauty, it said. But beauty is the most painful thing to keep alive. When the news of his death spread, it was like a storm that silenced the internet. The disbelief turned to mourning, the mourning to guilt. Fans replayed every video, every lyric, searching for signs they had missed. In every smile, they saw the cracks. In every performance, they saw the pain he had hidden in plain sight. Suddenly, the beautiful lie was exposed, the promise of fame that cost him everything. Tributes flooded in from co-stars, directors, and fans across the world. They called him an angel, a gentle soul, a light gone too soon. But beneath those words was an uncomfortable truth. The same system that glorified him had ignored his suffering. The same spotlight that made him shine had burned him alive. There's a haunting image that remains, a photo from one of his last shoots. He's sitting by a window, sunlight on his face, looking somewhere beyond the camera. His eyes are calm, almost peaceful. But if you look close enough, you can see it, the quiet resignation of a man who has finally stopped fighting the noise. That picture became iconic after his death, not because of how beautiful it was, but because of what it represented, the moment he let go of the performance. The industry that took him in now uses his image as a warning, a reminder of what happens when the pursuit of perfection becomes an addiction. Behind every glamorous photo shoot, behind every flawless movie poster, there is a person silently asking, "Am I enough without this?" For you, Menglong, the answer never came soon enough. His story is not just a tragedy, it's a mirror held up to all of us. We are the audience that cheers for broken hearts as long as they look beautiful on screen. We are the consumers who scroll past pain disguised as art. We are the ones who say, "Rest in peace," when it's already too late to say, "Are you okay?" If you listen closely to his music now, you'll hear it differently. The lyrics that once sounded poetic now feel prophetic. He sang of emptiness, of chasing light, of drowning in silence. Each note was a confession we didn't recognize. And perhaps that's his final gift, a legacy that forces us to see beyond the glamour, beyond the illusion. Menglong's death wasn't the end of his story, it was the truth behind it. He lived in a world that demanded constant perfection, and when he couldn't meet that demand, he broke under its weight. Yet, even in his final moments, his art remained honest. Every smile, every tear, every whispered lyric carried the same message. Behind every star is a person who just wants to be loved, not for the image they show, but for the soul they hide. Now, when people speak his name, it's no longer just about his talent or his beauty. It's about the lie that fame told him, and the truth he left behind for the world to finally see. The beautiful lie may have broken Menglong's soul, but his truth lives on, echoing softly through every screen he ever graced, reminding us all, perfection is not peace.